It's a news story. It was a 60-minute story I caught the other day. And it was some White House insider that's down with Trump. And he was talking. Oh, you saw this?
No,
No, he was just talking about, it was, I think it has something to do with, it's not immigration so much as it is, America versus the world. And
sounds about right.
but he's talking about tariffs like this is a magic button or something. And the whole talk about tariffs, because, I'm in finance. And it's not just that I'm in finance, because I think a lot of people understand this, maybe not in depth, but they at least hear the talking points, is that there's no real reason to be celebrating tariffs.
No, it's terrifying. People are just like, oh, it'll be great. I'm like, oh, I don't think that's how this works at all. Great isn't the word when you want to describe this.
Nah,
we did this before. You understand, this is not a new idea. Today isn't the first day tariffs ever happened. We've tried this. We have a track record. We can go see what happens. How did it feel? Do you want to talk to the people who lived through the last time tariffs were crazy back in the 70s and 80s? Was that a good time for people? Your parents. Do they remember waiting in line for gas for all the way around the block because they were just like, hope it gets better?
What I didn't know is tariffs they said it's been a part of every administration, right?
Sure. We always have some tariffs. I don't think the concept of tariffs is the problem. I think there is a certain way we could use this tool properly and helpful in a way that balances out what other countries are already doing so that we have effective trade. This is why we have the World Trade Organization. This is why we have the global bank system. Like, they actively are trying to maintain a certain amount of the money supply and make sure one country isn't completely imbalanced, right? So there's a way to do this well. And so I'm like, let's do it the right way then. Let's do it in a way that makes sense so that we actually maintain decent trading partners and that a decent supply of things, and the price doesn't randomly skyrocket one day and drop the next for no reason. I'm like, we probably have ways to do things. Cool. I'd love to do things in a way that makes sense.
I would actually argue that it's not really a good way to do this. That's what I would actually argue. I understand the intention, and actually, I think the intention, this speaks to a lot of the things that I try to talk about when it comes to teetering on that collective mentality versus the individualistic mentality, especially in leadership, because you got to actually deal with the group while pushing individualistic principles if you want to push real American principles. Because effectively what you're saying is that, hey, I want to protect the free country by stopping their options, because you increasing the prices of their options. So it's like, it's only a certain amount of resources that people can have and use. And so I think I probably would want to jump into the story because I think it brings a lot of good points up, right? Okay. That we can kind of tackle, and maybe we can just use this as material to get through this one. Cool?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. I guess I'll stop it periodically. Just chop it up.
You don't know Robert Lighthizer, but his influence with President Trump could change America's economy. Lighthizer was the top U.S. trade negotiator in the first Trump administration, and he's an evangelist for tariffs, taxes on imported goods.
China, to me, is an existential threat to the United States.
So your tariff regime for China would be what?
I believe in strategic decoupling. I'm not saying no economic relationship with China. That's not my position at all. I think you want balanced trade. And how do you get balanced trade? You're going to get balanced trade by having large tariffs on most of what they send to us. So it is strategic decoupling. So we would still have trade. So I would say we sell you $150 billion. We buy $150 billion from you, no more. We don't allow investments in China except in circumstances where we believe that's in the interest of the United States.
So, yeah, I guess I can just stop periodically just to have a little conversation, because this to me it sounds wild. I guess I understand what people mean when they say this, and I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is the way, this is how it's been done. you know. And because people say balancing, it's when people say balancing trade to get like a fair deal, it's almost like when people say, well, what's fair value, you know, or why am I not getting paid this fair value? It's for people to decide. That's what the market is for, you know. That's how I see it.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense in a real way. I think that level of oversight where we use the tariffs or whatever we, tax other people on to regulate how many goods flow between a place is that can be stifling. That can be ridiculous to say like, we're only going to have so many. You're only going to have so many widgets. That's it. Like, we're not allowing any more in there. Like, that doesn't make sense the way it's going. Meaning like China is doing this to stimulate their country to make things, to stimulate their economy, to make their people, to force their people basically to come up with their own solutions, which is one way to do it. But it is not the way I would love to do it. Like, I think that when people are like, oh, we should do it like China's doing it. I'm like, oh, that's a terrible plan. Definitely don't do that. That can't be the model. We can acknowledge, hey, they're doing it this way. It's like, oh, I see. So we should respond in a way that makes sense for us. But we should that response shouldn't include limiting the rest of America so that they don't have things, they don't have options. Like, that's not the answer.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to me. Because to me, your resources, your people, and the more that you allow your people to be mobile, trade, they're going to build on top of it. That's what the premise has to be. Because if that's not the premise, then you might as well go to a full dictatorship or authoritarian. It's like, what's the point in going halfway authoritarian? I don't get it. What's that magic number? What's that? Trade should be. This is like they pulling numbers up about 150 billion on this side and 150 billion on that side. We could do that perfectly, can't we?
Feels pretty good in the heart, right down there.
Right. I mean, but even when they do that, so to me, it's a manipulator's way. Because at the same time, the people who are saying this and putting their grips on it or whatever, trying to stifle it, they're the people that actually get the benefit because they in the mix because they know exactly what's about to happen. You know? So not only to me are you stifling trade, but you also get a bigger piece because you're like, well, it needs to go like this. And
it would help like this. So we're gonna try that out. Just see how that goes for a while. I'll let you know when I try something different. It's true.
Yeah, so I guess let's continue and see what's up.
In Trump's first term, Lighthizer was in charge of negotiating trade agreements. In Trump 2.0, he's an unofficial advisor, but a passionate one. Stacey Dahl, Michelle Lopez, and Matt Franson are among 1,200 workers laid off in 2023 when the Belvidere, Illinois auto assembly plant shut down.
This is my home. And when they told me that we were done, it hurt. It really did.
You add it all up, you can get to around $1 trillion a year of wealth from the United States being transferred to a geopolitical adversary. It's insane, and it's working.
But isn't trade one of the ways we avoid a hot war?
The way you prevent wars is by having the strongest, biggest, best army, biggest, best navy, best economy in the world, best technology.
Hold on, man. I gotta stop on that for a second. Just because, how do you become the biggest power in the world? How you stop wars is to have the biggest, baddest army and have the best economy. I just don't understand. So how does lessening free trade increase the vitality of your economy? Am I missing? I guess that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think that the premise is that if free trade is limited, then that will encourage the populace to, if free trade is limited, that will stimulate job growth and stimulate productivity so that all the things that we need are made here. And that is the goal. But I don't know if limiting free trade is the only way to get there. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is the premise was like, oh, all we got to do is stop buying from China and we'll just make it ourselves. See, we'll go get our own. I'm like, we don't have our own. That's the reason we didn't buy it for here the first time. It doesn't exist here. No. Well, I'll get it here. If you have your sandwich, I'll just go get my sandwich. You don't have bread, man. You don't have bread. Like, I'm not keeping you from getting sandwiches. You just don't have materials.
It's crazy to me because I can understand why people move these jobs. Financially, this makes sense. And this is, like, I still haven't finished my David Ricardo, but this is finance, economics 101, comparative advantage. And it's like, my whole thing is, okay, don't buy from other places. See, I think this is one of these things that's so, I don't know if I would say it's so complex, but people just refuse. It's almost like looking down at other people, because I think you have to understand, like, okay, free trade increases your economic vitality. That's how I look at it as a group. But what the argument is, it's like, no, we'll just keep it all to ourselves. But I guess my point is that the size of the pie is not increasing as much as it could increase. You're just saying more people will be actively eating the pie or sharing the pie or something, but it doesn't increase the size of the pie.
Doesn't make the pie any bigger. You may want things, and that's cool. But this is not doing it. This is not getting you the things you say you want.
No. And I think it's more of it's so long of an issue that people can fall into this. And I think it's going to come up in this interview as well. By the time that the evidence shows, people will say, oh, wow, here's that evidence that we forgot from the 70s. See, this evidence popped up again. It takes so long to come around is that they just forget, hey, these things have happened before and we had outcomes that we could learn from, and we're doing it again. We're doing this thing again. So, but I guess one of the funnier parts about it is the way that it was set up. I don't know if the interviewer set it up that way, but it seems like he was using tariffs as a tool to do some non-economic things. So I don't know about that part, but yeah, that's all I had to get to say about that one piece. So unless you got something else, we can keep moving.
The genius of America combined with our allies, we can turn this around. But what do we need? We need to change the relationship with them. We need tariffs. In my judgment, we need subsidies in certain areas, and we need an economic policy and a military strategic policy that rises up to the challenge.
On the campaign, Trump proposed historic tariffs. He said America would grow wealthy collecting taxes from overseas. But most any importer or economist will tell you the president is mistaken. Tariffs are not a tax on a foreign country. The tax is paid by the importer in the United States. The argument is made that when you increase the cost of parts and supplies coming into the country, you're hurting Apple, you're hurting Ford, you're hurting American companies.
Will these very highly paid CEOs have to figure out how to make a profit in a new environment, one that helps workers and helps innovation and is more American focused, America first? The answer is yeah, they're going to have to figure it out. Will they figure it out? Of course they'll figure it out. They're going to learn how to make money.
One of the ways they figure it out is by laying people off.
Well, no, you see, I don't believe that's true. I think, to me, the exact opposite will happen. You will see more production in the United States. You will see more jobs, better jobs, more pressure, upward pressure on wages, which is my objective.
Got any evidence for that?
What? How does he not see this? What are you talking about? Like, wages are going to go up. I'm like, yes, because we're going to fire everyone else. Everyone else is going to get fired. And the only people left will be the few people we can afford. And so, yes, those wages will go up.
It's just like, I feel like this thing is going to happen, so you should just trust me. Like, I truly believe this thing will happen.
It'll be good.
It's just like, yeah, man. So that's, but to me, that's more indicative of, or it's just more telling of the type of mentalities that have influence.
Right.
It's like, well, we have an economist and she's talking about, economic theory, and you're talking about jobs and stuff, but you're just like, no, things are going to be well. They're just going to work that way. It's like, how? In what way?
For whom are they going well? Because we have evidence that it did not go well for a lot of people last time. Like it's a failure to think of the consequences of your decisions. Like, we're going to charge tariffs or tax on the other country. Yes, I acknowledge that. What is that country going to do in response? What did they do last time we did this? Didn't they raise prices last time we did this? It's not just that. Of course, it's going to happen. It has happened. So when you're over here debating, I don't believe it's going to be like that. Oh, I'm not asking you what you think about it. This happened this way last time we did this thing. I'm not going back and forth with you on feelings. I'm just reading the history book to you. Don't do this thing unless you want this result. It did not work out for any of us last time.
But it doesn't even make sense. The reason it doesn't make sense, because the similar people to this guy are going to make the same argument that, oh man, when you keep taxing companies, it keeps jobs from, keeps them from creating jobs. It keeps them from wanting to be here. It's like, it's the same thing. What are we talking about? Now he's like, well, these well-paid CEOs are going to be able to find a way to work it out. Man, this is a dangerous attitude.
Number one, you shouldn't even bring them up, because that's a red herring right there. Number two, the majority of this part ignores the fact that you are making decisions that are going to have terrible consequences downstream, which we know, which we are aware of, which we are clearly saying, hey, don't do it. Don't do it this way, because we did it this way and it clearly didn't help us long term. We had to go in there and fix this last time. Don't do it again.
But the more dangerous piece to me is that I don't even think he thinks he needs evidence. I don't even think he thinks he needs to appeal to any type of economic theory that is rooted in evidence.
Right. There's no reason, no argument, no evidence to support a claim. It's just like, hey, I have a thought, I have a feeling, I think it's right. I'm running with it, and you should agree with me, because you can trust me. I'm here now. I'll make it better.
Good.
Well, I don't know.
All right, man. I guess we can try to finish this one out, I think, if he don't say anything else crazy in the next 3 minutes.
Let's do it.
Painted, it seems like tariffs are magic.
Well, I wouldn't say magic. So remember, the tariffs are part of an economic policy. The policy has tax cuts, it has spending cuts, it has energy production, it has regulatory reduction, and it has tariffs. The combination of that, I think, and tariffs are an important part of it, has the potential to have this kind of renaissance.
We saw some of that combination he talks about back in Belvedere, where turbocharged tariffs have been hitched to a big taxpayer investment.
Belvedere has always fought for themselves. And in this scenario, we needed everybody to fight for us. And they did.
Biden did. He increased Trump's earlier 25% tariff on Chinese cars to 100% for Chinese electric vehicles. Then Biden gave car maker Stellantis a $335 million grant to convert Belvedere to electric cars. We don't know how much that helped, but last month, Stellantis said it would reopen in 2027. What are the chances that you're wrong?
Well, once again, we tried it the other way, Scott. If we do this, in 10 years it doesn't work, we can go back and always fail again with the way we have in the past.
So yeah, that's that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy that they were even able to have this kind of conversation with that level of confusion and lack of insight. It's like, what if you're wrong? And by what if, I mean, hey, we just did this. It was wrong. What happens when we do this again and it's wrong? Well, we'll just revisit this in a few years and see how that goes. What if we're not alive in a few years to see how this goes because of how wrong we are again from the thing that we did quality just a few decades ago?
Look, it's not like to me. This is it's not neither here nor there. It's just that there are different levels of the same thing that we keep going back and forth between. And so that's what makes me hesitate by saying, oh, he's just completely wrong. Not that I agree with him. It's just that the other person is going to say, no, it shouldn't just be 150 billion. We can let it be 300 billion. And it just becomes these parameters. And everybody has their little idea what the parameters should be. And they can go find their little bit of data to say, oh, it should be this parameter or that parameter or blah, blah, blah. And nobody says, you know what? People are free to choose. Let's educate them about what's going on. And, it's on you. And it's just like on you when it comes to, when I'm looking at the union workers, and I'm like, there's this expectation that, these are our jobs. We thought that they would be here for us and they would be here forever. And it's not like I don't ever like to see somebody lose their job, but the whole idea of unions and the whole idea of legacy jobs, it's not something that I have a lot of sympathy for, that concept. The people, yes. But the concept, no. The concept is, look, these things have to go through these shifts to get basically to push down the cost and for people that's running companies, because that's the ultimate goal, and increase the revenues. And there has to be some level of understanding in that. But I just don't think that the way that we go about it is like, if you say, all right, company, come back, we're going to give you this $1 billion, whatever, $300 billion grant, or whatever they said that they gave away, tax credit. It just comes down to dollars and cents anyway. Somebody's just like, oh, okay, well, we can make a profit with that. And we'll figure it out how to keep most of it, because that's what they're going to do, right?
Yes. You give some random person $1 billion and you're like, hey, jobs, right? And they're like, oh, okay, whatever I need to say to keep my $1 billion, it's going to be mine, right?
Right.
Yes, of course. I mean, first mine, and then we'll see how else we can do, and I'll let you know how it turns out in 2027 when you're no longer here. That'll be great.
Just wait you out or whatever. Because a bad idea doesn't get better with time. It just doesn't.
Well, no, you can't get the problem. The problem doesn't go away by you ignoring it. Neglect never solved anything.
But the thing is that they don't know that they're ignoring a problem. They actually think that they're giving attention to a problem. And
easy.
That's the tricky piece to even get people. I mean, because, all right, let's say you bring in an economist. This is a person who studied and a person who has some understanding of economic principles. And then you get this guy who's like, I don't really need all of that. This is what we need to do. And I just know this is how it's supposed to be. And
I don't want to pay tariffs. They should pay tariffs. And therefore, if they're paying it, I'll be fine. We'll be fine. The country will be profitable again. We'll all be prosperous and living in a world. Like, I don't think that's how that works. And but I don't. I mean, we tried that. We know that's not how that works, because we have not just minds. We have data and we have history. We have precedent where we tried to do some of these things and it did not work.
Once again, I have to reiterate. They never stopped doing this thing. Okay. This thing has not effectively been stopped at all. People continue to do it.
The thing that didn't work was escalating tariffs on people over and over progressively. Progressively escalating tariffs has not worked. That is the thing that we have to say, wait, what are we doing? What is our goal? How do we want to get there? Because we say that we want to help the Americans and we want to help the American people reach a level of prosperity where poor people are getting into a level that we're calling a middle class more frequently than not. I'm like, okay, what things do poor people need to be able to rise to the ranks? Like, what choices are available? What paths can get there? And what can we do to facilitate more of that happening? And the idea of progressively raising tariffs on other countries is a crazy idea to say this helps people. Yes, this thing is going to let poor people become better. I'm like, no, this is not an investment in people. This is a punishment on other randoms. That's not going to make Johnny down the street any better at providing value enough to make enough money to feed his family. Like, what are you talking about?
But that's not the goal, though, Josh.
That's not the goal.
The goal is some folksy thing, bring back the jobs. That's the goal.
It is.
Right?
You hear it all the time.
And then But the whole thing about the tariffs piece, I don't ever see, you have to reject it in principle. You can't say, well, it didn't work necessarily, because then the argument will be just like people do with taxes. Well, just increase the taxes. Well, we can just increase because there's no end to increasing. You can increase it more and more and more. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's just like minimum wage. Like, oh man, people can't live at $15 an hour. We need to up it up to 20. Why not 30? Why not 65? And this won't end because you're talking to people who can't grasp principles or concepts. And that's why I say you have to reject it in principle. So it's like arguing. It's one of them situations that's very similar to arguing with, I don't know, the choice between food and poison, in a sense, right? Poison always wins. Any concession, poison wins. It's like, no, I argue for food. Well, what about a little bit of poison? Just a little bit, a tiny bit.
You gotta have a balance, half poison and half food, and then it'll be fair. No. Hard pass.
Right. But that's what people lack, man, the argument on principle. That's the problem that I have. And I understand that kind of like one of the weaknesses of an argument on principle is that, oh, you didn't wait to get the evidence. But it's not that you didn't wait to get the evidence. It's just that the evidence is so long tail that you could forget every 10 years that tariffs didn't work that time we tried it. And then you just, oh, let's go this way. Oh, let's go that way. Oh, the taxes are up. Oh, taxes are down. Oh, tariffs are up. Oh, tariffs are down. Jobs are in. The jobs are out. Free trade is up. The free trade is up. And it's just like, nah, man, that's why I like to argue on the principle of personal choice. Because if you choose to screw it up, that is what it is. But if you know,
the government's good for you, you've made the choice for everyone. We all have to look at that.
Exactly, man.